Beautiful backhand down the line for the win on the very first point. There are fewer strokes that look as beautiful as a flowing one-handed backhand down the line.
Well, it's a bit of a rarity these days to have two single-handed backhands at opposing ends of the court, and that's an outstanding example of a flourishing one-hander in action from Lorenzo Musetti to open this match. It was one of the elements I was most looking forward to observing in the opening stages of this match, how Musetti went about things from a return perspective, particularly on second serve. Shapovalov often up over 180 kilometers an hour, even on his second serve. Musetti is someone that likes to come forward on second serve return, and so I am curious to see how that plays out against the heat of the Shapovalov serve. We've already seen Musetti have to revert to retreating in the court.
See plenty of that. Big, tall Shapovalov coming into the net and trying to keep the points short. And you could see that Musetti was desperate to go down the line on the backhand as he had done earlier. So fallen in love with that shot a little bit, but ended up making the right choice eventually. Never a good time to serve a double fault, obviously the first of the contest here in the early going, but that sets up a break point for Musetti. He's a big presence at the net, Shapovalov. When you see him coming in, you think, right, it's really is hit or bust here.
Yeah, long levers and a lengthy wingspan, so an intimidating presence to get a passing shot by or a lob over. That time executed better with the approach shot into the backhand wing of Musetti rather than allowing him a look at the running forehand.
Let first service.
Kind of play that the crowd likes to see as well, rather than two baseliners slugging it out. When you've got a big fella coming into the net, then it gets the crowd on the edge of their seat. Good hold there, staving off a break point. Shapovalov is the first to get on the board.
First game.
I'd say a particularly good hold, given that Shapovalov lands just 2 out of 8 first serves in that opening game, fights off a break point. So slightly slow out of the blocks, got away with it. And already some indications of intent from his side in terms of the number of times we did see him approach the net in that opening game. Looking to take advantage of Musetti's court position being backed up well beyond the baseline.
Quick change of ends, now it's Musetti to serve for the first time. See Musetti looking up at the sky already. Obviously it's 1 o'clock here in Melbourne, 1 in the afternoon. So there he is looking up again and practicing the ball toss, making sure that he's not staring at the sun every time he tries to serve.
Does tend to be problematic, the early afternoon sun when serving at the southern end here at Melbourne Park for a right-hander. So what these players will be doing is manoeuvring the ball toss, trying to have some variety in the ball toss, may even use the non-dominant hand, the tossing arm, to shield their eyes from the sun as the ball goes up.
Not the greatest of services there, just trying to get it over into the box, you think, but the +1, the shot after the return, that was beautiful there from Musetti.
Yeah, Shapovalov didn't make him pay a price on the second serve return, and it is one of the distinct differences between these two. Shapovalov, I mentioned some of the pace he generates on his second serve. Musetti more conservative by contrast when delivering his second.
That was a much better service return. More power on the service from Musetti, and Shapovalov using that power and sending it right back with interest. Well, Janko Tipsarevic is coaching Shapovalov. He always used to play in glasses, and you'd almost expect it. Is Musetti going to go up to the opposing coach's box and say, have you got any of those sunglasses that you used to wear?
An old pair of Oakleys, you reckon?
Yes, well, either pair of sunglasses there would help him, I think. Break point. Taken. Shapovalov draws first blood, and that gets the maple leaf flags fluttering in the crowd.
Leads 2 games to 11.
Well, he takes advantage, Shapovalov, of his opponent struggling with that sun from a ball toss perspective down the southern end of court 3.
And the more you struggle as well with your service, the more you're going to look up at the sun and blame it and squint and grimace, and I think he got into his own head there a little bit, Musetti. Shapovalov now from the northern end. Flowing forehand. Well, there's an interesting stat 91% of the time after Shapovalov gets an early break, he goes on to win the set. That's with the dominant service that he has.
30-11.
Just to illustrate that, not pure power there, but beautiful positioning. As if to prove me wrong. The service giveth and the service taketh away. I'm sure I'll be pretty happy with sitting there at 30-15 though. No bad thing at this time of day, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, to toss up a few lobs, make your opponent look up into the sun. Also early in a match, see whether the opponent's confident enough on the overhead.
Well, did well to survive from a difficult position within that point. Lorenzo Musetti, and pulls himself back into this third game. Creates a little bit of scoreboard pressure for Shapovalov to contend with.
Well, all 3 games so far have gone to 30 all. No one having it all their own way on service. This is the first time it's gone to 40-30 as opposed to break point. Shapovalov looking to consolidate that early break he got. Musetti's got Simone Tartarini in his corner on his coaching staff. Battle of the backhands, and it's Musetti who wins that one and has a break back point.
Well, that was superb ball striking from Lorenzo Musetti, because he's well beyond the baseline and well outside of the single sideline. Chooses the aggressive option, executes to perfection.
Kept calm there. Shapovalov wasn't thrown off his rhythm by the net cord there, just came in, put away the shot he was originally intending to hit.
Interesting game of cat and mouse going on at the moment. We've got Shapovalov wanting to get forward from a tactical perspective, wanting to approach the net, and Musetti on that second serve return, jumping around, dancing around, giving Shapovalov a very different look from a returner serve perspective. So this is very much a predetermined plan here out of Camp Shapovalov. Denis and his coach Janko Tipsarevic, they've decided to take advantage of the fact that Lorenzo Musetti, he will slice a lot of returns on the first serve off both forehand and backhand side, and Shapovalov determined to take that first ball and get in behind it, seize on that opportunity.
And he comes, and he does indeed hold, break, hold for Shapovalov. 3-love halfway through this first set. Beautiful day at Melbourne Park. That's it, knock your mate's bucket hat off. Certainly enjoying themselves there. What a beautiful day it is. Rainy yesterday. I personally got absolutely drenched at one point, and the players, there were plenty of matches moved from one court to another. But the luxury of Melbourne Park is that we have 3 covered courts. We've got 6 show courts. You can see court number 3 there. And here, next to Rod Laver, but we've got Rod Laver, Margaret Court and John Cain arenas, though they've all got roofs on them. So there we go, there's an illustration of one of them, John Cain Arena, that can be closed. And that means that you can have 3 matches going on at any one time. So a real luxury, one we're delighted to have at Melbourne Park. Musetti, love 3. Musetti saying, yes, I know where the net is as well, and I'm going to come in.
Well, his turn to be the aggressor, and the point was the first serve that set it up, taking Shapovalov a long way off the court. Followed in the forehand approach, executed the backhand volley in lovely fashion. So there's another example of the contrast between these two players. 142 kilometers an hour, that second serve, and Shapovalov on top of the baseline. Didn't execute it on that occasion, but we've already seen Musetti, when returning the second serve, 3 and 4 meters beyond the baseline at times.
This is what Musetti needs. He's down at the easier end to serve in terms of the sun. Hasn't got on the board yet. What he would love here is a comfortable hold. What a point that was. Shapovalov dominated it, and yet Musetti won it in just 5 strokes.
Well, you talk about the holder serve that he needed. Perhaps this is the forehand that he needed. This was electric. First of all, the movement, and then the shot making on the full run, and he did not hold back one iota, just unloaded on that forehand.
Reminds me of Elena Dementieva in her prime, that running forehand down the line. So Musetti is on the board, Shapovalov to serve. Beautifully done by Musetti there, very low over the net, made it very difficult for Shapovalov to get down and then get it up and over.
Well, the cat and mouse game between these two opponents continues. Shapovalov, it's very clear, is going to come forward at every opportunity. Musetti needing to make life difficult for him when he does come forward, did just enough with that passing shot to force the error.
It's a third double fault for Shapovalov. You live by the sword and die by the sword when you've got a weapon like his. Thought you and I were going to be able to catch that one there, Simon. That one, well, it's a great second service, 183, down the tee, came in to take the overhead and then got nothing but frame on it, and that's 3 breakback points for Musetti. By Musetti to Love, and a big roar to signal it. We're back on service, 2-3 in the first set. Certainly enjoyed that one. And why wouldn't you? A break of service to Love.
Well, you have to describe it as a poor service game from a Shapovalov perspective. We saw the double fault, we saw a relatively average drop shot on the final point at Love 40, and we saw the overhead that was mishit into the stands. So that just gave Musetti far too good a look at the backhand passing shot. Did the forehand drop shot from Shapovalov, paid the price.
Shapovalov said live by the sword and die by the sword. His first service percentage 45 at the moment. 10 of them in, 22 of them not in. So you can't afford to be missing on over 50% of your first services. Having said that, his second service is a weapon.
Time.
Regardless of how good your second service is, you don't want to be putting yourself behind the 8 ball every time. Musetti getting a better look at the second services. Now Musetti, let's see how he copes with the sun. There's a fair bit of cloud in the sky just looking up. And looking up, that's exactly what Musetti's doing. Practicing his ball toss again, but we're back on service. He's going to look at the sky every time he misses a first service, regardless of whether it's to do with the sun or not.
Allow 15.
Yes, you don't need to speak Italian to know that he's complaining about the sun. Well, there's not a lot we can do about it, and well, Shapovalov's wearing a cap. Caps and sunglasses are available. Maybe I'll need to pop to one of the merchandise stands around here in Melbourne Park, ask for a quick comfort break and disappear off and get some merchandise.
I was just going to make a similar comment, Drew. One thing's for sure is the position of the sun is not going to change. So it's his response to the challenge, to the difficult situation, that needs to change. He needs to figure it out, needs to solve the problem. Vary the ball toss, use the left hand a little bit to try to shield the sun.
No need to look to the heavens after that one. 198 down the tee.
Seems to be even more of an issue for him on second serve. There's a discrepancy between the two players from a second serve speed perspective. 30 kilometers an hour, that's a huge gap. Musetti more conservative, prepared to back his ground strokes. Shapovalov looking to do damage with the second serve, challenging the return position of his opponent.
Well, that was the second service on first service, really. But it was very effective.
Yes.
Well, complaining about the sun above him there, he didn't have to look up. Once he served, he didn't have to look up at all. So The laddie doth protest too much, methinks.
Well, needed to land a first serve. Dealing with some difficulties in this 6th game. Did so. Set up the short ball to dispatch the forehand.
A hold, and we are back level. 3 apiece. That's what he needed, Musetti. He needed a hold from that end. He needed to exercise that particular demon, get the southern end of the stadium monkey off his back. See, there's plenty of cloud up there, but there's a lot of blue sky to be staring at as well.
Well, looking to serve volley behind a excellent first serve. Denis Shapovalov stops, slams the brakes on, chooses to unleash on the forehand ground stroke. Makes no mistake.
Second ace for Shapovalov to go with 3 double faults. Musetti with a couple of double faults as well, but you know the reason behind those. Two in a row. We're talking about his big wingspan at the net. He's a big Toronto Raptors fan in the NBL, and you can tell that every time he's serving because he tosses the ball between his legs like a basketball player dribbling between the legs. A hold to love, just what Shapovalov needed after losing 3 in a row. He leads 4-3, but still on service in this first set.
Leads 4 games to 3. Time.
Beautiful view there of Melbourne Park. You do like showing it off in between games. Why wouldn't you? You've got an absolute jewel in what is already a sporting crown here in Melbourne. Now, Musetti back on serve, 3-4, after going love 3 down, and he's serving here with new balls. Balls changed every 9 games, but the warm-up counts as 2, so we changed after 7. I wonder also if that was one of the reasons why Musetti, when he won the toss, he elected to receive. He had Shapovalov serving first. Beautiful forehand. But yes, maybe he calculated that and thought, well, I don't want Shapovalov serving with new balls in the 8th game.
Not for the first time in this match. Lorenzo Musetti just unleashes on another forehand. That one low and flat, hard. Perfectly placed to the corner.
The local wildlife buzzing around Musetti. Watch that backhand down the line all day, and then he follows it up by coming into net and just ladling it over into the corner.
Oh, what a combination. We've seen him unleash on a couple of forehands. That time it was the backhand side, punishes it down the line and has the awareness to explode forward behind it. And it was pinpoint accuracy with the forehand volley as well. Gave Shapovalov no chance to track it down.
A hole to love in the blink of an eye.
4 games.
Well, the tide has turned a little bit, but for Shapovalov, you just need to look at the scoreboard and think, well, it's 4-all. I'm not behind. I've got a big service. I can take this to a tiebreaker in the space of 10 minutes, and I'll take my chances from there.
Love 15.
Fourth double fault, and he's still not getting 50% of his first services over. And that's something that's got to change sooner rather than later for the Canadian.
He's just gesticulating to his coach's box here, Musetti, after those backhand returns, just trying to figure out whether he wants to go with the chip return or come over some of those backhands, be more aggressive. That time chooses the more aggressive option with the topspin backhand return, but it was an elite combination from Shapovalov. Serve plus the backhand cross court.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
14, that's it.
Well, you said it, Drew. It is a thing of beauty, this shot. He sensed that his opponent was coming forward, Lorenzo Musetti, and tantalizingly places the ball out of Shapovalov's reach. Great awareness of where his opponent was on the court to execute that shot.
It's a hole for Shapovalov, and he leads 5-4.
Shapovalov leads 5 games to 4.
Might be a little bit annoyed with himself there. Musetti. He got Shapovalov more or less into a rally, and we've seen precious few of those at the moment. Looking at the statistics, there have been 40 rallies between 0 and 4 shots. That's not one heck of a lot. The average rally length, 3.22 shots, so let's call it 3, let's call it serve plus 1. And so getting into the rallies, if it gets between 5 and 8 shots, then it's 4 that Shapovalov has won, 6 that Musetti's won. It's only gone into double figures 4 times, and Musetti's been one of those. Can Musetti actually get Shapovalov into rallies? And there he's got a far better chance of picking his pocket. Musetti serving from the awkward end, shall we call it, and to stay in the set. You've won the point, Lorenzo. I wouldn't complain about the previous shot where it landed or whether it was a double bounce.
Well, what about the drop volley from Musetti? And he thinks the point's over there. That would have been interesting had the lob dropped in. Shapovalov motioning at the conclusion of the point. He wasn't sure whether he got there or not. But he got there.
He did, as you say, that big wingspan, and moves quickly for a big man.
He does just enough with the backhand passing shot to make it awkward for Musetti, and then gets on his bike, tracks down the short volley.
Sit quickly, please, behind the players. Thank you.
Movement behind the server's arm. It's allowed at the Australian Open. People can come and go. They have to wait until the change of ends. They are asked to sit down as quickly as possible between points.
That's it.
4-5, 15-30, nervous times.
And again, the type of point that Denis Shapovalov's wanting to play, getting on top of the point from the baseline, set up from the forehand down the line, and following it forward successfully.
Now that is just what he needed.
30 all.
Well, he hasn't gone out wide very often so far to that ad side, Lorenzo Musetti. That was a good time to go back to that serve and to come up with another ace. Just his first of the match.
Called out electronically and by Musetti. He ran around that forehand there and hit an inside-out forehand, or an off forehand as it's known down here. So he should have taken it on the backhand, but had the time to run around and really pick his spot on the forehand and didn't quite execute.
Net, first service. Use.
Well, he makes a tactical error earlier in this point. Lorenzo Musetti going down the line with his forehand allowed Denis Shapovalov to take control of the point. And that time off the backhand side, Shapovalov really accelerating with the racket head.
Advantage, Musetti.
Seems to be finding that the ball's skidding and keeping low, Shapovalov, but I think that's Musetti's way of hitting it rather than anything to do with the court. Important hold there for Musetti. Gets it back to 5-all, puts the pressure now on Shapovalov.
5 against all.
Reminder that it's best of 5. 5 tie-break sets. First 4 sets, if we need tie-breakers, it'll be the conventional style. First to 7, 2 points clear. We're not quite there yet, though. That'll only happen if we get to 6-all.
Love 15.
Double fault number 5. 5 points, that's more than a game's worth of double faults. Is he going to come to rue those?
Let first service.
He's going to rue them if he keeps accumulating them
30.
in this 11th game.
Well, this is an issue for Denis Shapovalov, and it is now becoming a mental issue for him to overcome. Shaky on his second serve. And he's feeling it out here on show court 3. Bit to work through right now.
Finally gets one over the net.
30.
Gets into a rally, which is where you would have thought that Musetti would have been favoured.
Well, that was impressive. After 5 consecutive faults, to compose himself and play the type of point he was able to execute in that moment bodes well.
That will give him a lot of confidence. Gets it back to 30-all.
30 all.
Well, this is a mentally tough response from Denis Shapovalov, who was questioning where things were at on his own second serve just a few moments ago, has responded like the elite competitor he is.
And then
30, 40.
third double fault. Shapovalov's on 30, Musetti on 40. Those 40, those 3 points, that's come from double faults being handed to Musetti on a plate. A huge break point here. He's digging himself into holes and then crawling out of them quite spectacularly.
Well, what about the courage? Struggle as he has done in this 11th game of the opening set. How about the courage there after 3 double faults in the game and missing the first serve again to hit a second serve at 170 kilometres an hour and serve and volley? Have to applaud that courage.
Oh, shame it ended on an error and not a winner, because that was a great point. Again, another short one. It's short but sweet, this match. The rally's short and explosive.
Well, takes complete control again. Shapovalov didn't do quite enough with the backhand volley. Musetti had a camera shot.
He just needed to get that one over the net. Another break point. Again saved with the swinging service out wide.
Nearly every time so far today on the juice court, Denis Shapovalov has been looking to locate this first serve down the tee to the backhand of Musetti. Does he continue with that pattern? Or does he add some variety and go out wide?
Advantage, Shapovalov.
Big hold for Denis Shapovalov. He keeps his nose in front, leading 6-5.
Shapovalov leads 6 games to 5. Time.
Back out we come. Musetti once again serving to stay in the set, serving to take us into a tiebreaker.
Shapovalov saw that one coming. It was the kick serve as a first serve from Musetti, and Shapovalov pounced on the forehand and punished it. He's frustrated with that miss. Denis Shapovalov, he'd done the work. He was into the baseline rally. He wasn't under a huge amount of duress. Coughed up a forehand unforced error at an inopportune moment.
Confident overhead. It's kind of point that you like to take into a tiebreaker.
14-15.
Feeling good about yourself. And we are one Musetti point away from a tiebreaker.
Net, first service.
And here indeed it comes. 6-all.
6 games all, tiebreak.
First to 7, 2 points clear. Shapovalov will serve the first point. Musetti 2 thereafter, and they'll have 2 each. Change of ends after 6 points. Musetti's going to try to get as many points as he can from his current end of the court. Shapovalov to get us underway. You wonder how he's going to serve in this tiebreaker. He's been really struggling so far. Around 50% of his first service is in. 7 double faults. A big sigh of relief there from Lorenzo Musetti, and well, I don't think you need to be a lip reader to see there that Shapovalov, he's angry with himself. I don't think either player made the right decisions there. Mini break for Musetti.
Warning, Mr. Shapovalov.
You could see that one was coming. And a little bit of sarcasm towards Damien Dumouzois in the chair is not going to help his cause either. I don't think he needed to leap there, Musetti, but he enjoyed it.
3-0.
Shapovalov needs to calm himself down here. He's picking a fight with Damien Dumouzois in the chair, and he's got no right to, because if you kick an advertising board, then the umpire has no choice but to issue a warning. He's only 1 mini break down. He needs to settle himself and get a big service in.
Out. 4-0. Musetti.
Well, quite simply, he's focusing in areas that he can ill afford to be focusing in, and it's energy spent in the wrong direction. He's got enough on his plate, Denis Shapovalov, without directing all of that frustration at the chair umpire.
It's absolutely come out of nowhere as well.
Musetti.
that Janko Tipsarevic or the rest of his entourage are going to be able to do here to help him. He needs to get himself. Well, there we go. He is actually on the board as we change ends after 6 points. Barely, but just about. He's got a mini break back as well. But you very much sense that this is Musetti's tiebreaker to lose. All he has to do, I think, is keep the ball in the court.
Well, it was explosive frustration, and it did come out of nowhere, and it was sustained. Multiple points when he could least afford it.
5-1 Musetti, first to 7. That's the beauty of the tiebreaker. Change of ends, you've got 30 seconds in which to compose yourself by hook or by crook, and then 2 big services here, and if anyone can come out with a big service, it's Shapo, and he'll only be 4-5 down. Bemoaning his own lack of athleticism there. 2-6, 4 set points. Well left. You can see he's trying to hit a winner on every point at the moment. The end of this set cannot come quickly enough. It's going to come quickly one way or the other. Musetti now with 3 set points left, 2 of them on his racket here. Fortunately for him, the clouds have come over, so the ball toss isn't going to be an issue. Beautifully done, and a huge roar and huge fist pump for Lorenzo Musetti. He was a breakdown early, came back, took it to a tiebreaker, which he won at 7-3. He takes the first set in just under an hour. Punished that second service, gave it the treatment it deserved. Deep first service right on the line. Dances around on his toes, Musetti, before serving, before receiving. See both players looking to their boxes almost after every point.
And Musetti, I think, imploring himself to stay focused in the opening service game of the second set.
He's obviously broken in his opening service game of the first, but managed to come back.
Let's. First.
It is starting to be a challenge for the Shapovalov single-handed backhand, is the heaviness of that Musetti ball. You can see the plan from Musetti is to get that ball jumping, leaping, elevating into the Shapovalov backhand. Not easy for a single-hander to counter that. Starting to force him into errors on more than one occasion, Lorenzo Musetti.
From love 30, it's a hold to 30. First couple of points, I thought, well, this is just what the doctor ordered for Shapovalov. A couple of easy points, settle him down. And then it was Musetti who settled himself down. His own discipline, sticking to the game plan. And as you're saying, Simon, hitting a heavier ball. You see the ball, a lot more shape on it coming over the net, rather than just flatter hits that are easier for the 6'5" Shapovalov to lean into and whip back. Now this service game could be interesting.
Well, despite his struggles on second serve at times today, Denis Shapovalov, no sign of him holding back. Continues to be aggressive. 175 kilometers an hour on that second serve on the back of the service line.
That's what he likes to do, backing away so he could run around and take that on the forehand and then down the line.
Well, that's one way, and a very effective way to avoid the ball elevating into your single-handed backhand. Take 3 and 4 steps to your right as a left-hander and unleash on the forehand. Inside in with the winner.
Seemed to blow a tyre on that one. Not quite a table tennis service, but not far off. A second double fault in this game, 9th in the match. But it's a hold to 30 with a beautiful flat backhand over the net. He's still shaking his head.
1 game on.
Maybe shaking his head as if to say, well, where was that 10 minutes ago?
Well, Musetti so deep in the court to return that second serve opens up plenty of space for Shapovalov to be able to rip the cross-court backhand into. Made no mistake. But the struggles on the Shapovalov second serve are absolutely a factor in this match, and a significant factor. And we saw them in his opening contest against Roberto Bautista Agut. Also, Drew served up 15 double faults in that encounter.
It's 15 double faults over 4 sets. I think he'd take that at the moment. He's already up to 9, having served just 1 service game in the second set. Something else he'd take is the fact that he lost the first set against Bautista Agut and then came back to win it in 4. So a bit of previous there, as it were. Beautiful from Musetti. It was his turn to run around the forehand, backing away to hit it inside out.
13.
One with depth and then the next one with a deft touch.
Wow, what a combination. The inside out forehand from Musetti, and then this lovely deft change of gears with the forehand droppy. An inside out forehand droppy. Not easy to pull that off, despite how he made it look.
That's where Shapovalov feels at home.
30 all.
Well, that's the type of problem solving and aggression that we love to see from Denis Shapovalov. Takes the second serve return early, charges forward behind it, plays that point entirely on his terms. That's when he looks so damaging, so dangerous.
There. An apology from Musetti. I don't think Shapovalov wanted to hear any of it, but managed to keep his cool.
Well, what about the skill here from Lorenzo Musetti? Again, knowing that Shapovalov's coming forward to play that slice backhand passing shot at just an awkward enough height so that Shapovalov has to volley up on the next ball, and then relies on his wheels, on his foot speed, to track down and execute the backhand pass. Superb athlete, Lorenzo Musetti.
A hole for Musetti. He is a set to the good and leads 2-1 in the second.
Musetti leads 2 games to 1. Time.
Rod Laver to your left. Court number 3 to your right. Melbourne skyline in the background. Shapovalov to serve with new balls. He has ramped it up to 211 kilometers per hour. That's his fastest service so far. Let's see what he does with these new Dunlops.
Out. 15 left.
That was low into the net, that one.
Well, Musetti having the conversation with coach Simone Tartarini, making sure he's purposeful with the slice return, I think was the message there from the coach. Don't be prepared to just start the point, start it with some purpose.
Foul. That's it.
I think that advertising board there was flinching as he walked over. Wondered if he was going to get another kicking. Double fault number 10 for the match, number 3 for this set. Musetti making Shapovalov have to win that point 3 times.
Well, that's a big miss from Musetti in the context of the match. Scoreboard pressure on Shapovalov, having to come up with a second serve again with all of the struggles we've seen from him on his second serve today. That was a pressure release.
Go!
Again, a couple of unforced errors from Musetti. 2-all.
2 against all.
Well, Coach Tipsarevic, I think, was talking about the body language of his man, Denis Shapovalov. What's your opponent seeing down the other end was the message from the coach. And you can see his charge respond in kind. Some positivity, some bounce after that message from the coach.
Didn't miss by much, that one. Is it just me, or has he been... He's bulked up a bit there, Janko. He was always a strong player, but he looks like he's still hitting the gym.
In the gym a bit, Janko. Still out there hitting balls with Denis Shapovalov, warming his man up for his matches.
Unforced errors creeping into the Musetti game here.
Well, such is the marathon that is 5-set tennis. It's now Lorenzo Musetti's turn just to go through a little lull over the last few minutes here on show court 3 in his execution.
Shapovalov doing what he does best, rushing into the net and striking fear into the hearts of your opponent, saying, come on, 6'5", huge wingspan, pass me if you can. That's 2 or 3 forehands that have nestled in the bottom of the net from Musetti.
Oh, that's a poor miss from Musetti, and Shapovalov's body language has demonstrated a noticeable uptick since the message from coach Tipsarevic just a few minutes ago.
Well, he'll be puffing his chest out if he can take one of these 2 break points. That was there for the taking. And you can see just how annoyed he is with himself.
Well, he did so much right, Denis Shapovalov. Again, got the point on his terms. Was the aggressor, had the open court, missed the volley. But the tactical intent was healthy. It was the type of point he's wanting to play.
Great first service when he needed it the most, 199 kilometers per hour.
Yes.
And this is where Shapovalov shouldn't be complaining. That was just tip your cap to the opponent, because that was a great service.
It's just quality tennis. Big serve, big forehand on the +1 ball.
If you want to slap your head with your racket after the missing the open volley, fine. But that was just a great service. Back to juice. Back comes the Jekyll and Hyde character. We had Dr. Dennis for the first couple of games here, and even up to 1540. And now it seems to be Mr. Shap taking over. Huge service into the corner and a huge hold from 1540 down. Musetti leads 3-2 and is a set to the good.
Musetti leads 3 games to 2. Time.
Shapovalov to serve. 2-3 down. Everyone on the edge of their seats now. What's this service game going to be like? What's his mentality going to be like?
Love 15.
Well, he misses the volley on that occasion, Denis Shapovalov, but also the first serve location is beginning to be a watch for me. Lorenzo Musetti pounced on that backhand return. So far today on his first serve, 93% of the time Shapovalov has gone down the tee on the juice court. Wonder if Musetti's starting to cotton on to the pattern.
Love 30.
He's serving from the other end of the court, so in between points, even when he makes a mistake, Shapovalov, he's got no one to shout at. Coach's box at the other end.
15-30.
Great change up from Shapovalov. Has not gone with that serve hardly at all today in the match. That was a great moment to start to do so.
I don't like to keep counting them up, but that's 11 for the match, 4 for the set in just his third service game. And 2 break points.
I
think both players need coaching staffs to tell them, you know, it's all right to lose a point. If your opponent's played well, just move on. Musetti complaining there. Still another break point.
Yes.
Beautifully saved with that service swinging way out wide to Musetti's backhand.
Well, you felt like in that moment, from Denis Shapovalov's perspective, it was the first serve that he just had to have. And not having to play a first ball, huge bonus there on break point down.
Advantage.
How about that one?
Well, to Shapovalov's credit, he has been aware that Musetti was starting to cover that tee serve on the juice side, and the last 2 times has had success going out wide. Altered his pattern just when he needed to, Denis Shapovalov.
Game, Shapovalov.
And that's a big hole for Denis Shapovalov. 2 break points stared down.
3 games.
Bit of a forlorn Maple Leaf in the crowd there, but there we go. That isn't forlorn. It's exactly what you were saying there, Simon. Tipsarevic telling him, come on, show your opponent you mean business. Because otherwise, Musetti would have been looking over the other side of the net thinking, this guy's going to implode any second now. I've just got to stick around for another 15 minutes and it's all going to go off. You and I have moved to Australia, Simon, so you pick up phrases that you wouldn't necessarily have heard before, and one of my favourites is to go off like a frog in a sock. And that's exactly what Shapovalov did during that tiebreaker. Just imagine putting a frog in a sock and see how the frog's going to react. And that's how he reacted on the third point of the tiebreaker. And then he was like a frog in a sock for the rest of it until he had that bathroom break. He seems to have calmed down a little bit since then.
The wrong shot from Denis Shapovalov. The ball was coming back too quickly to allow him to set up for the drive volley. It needed to be the traditional forehand volley. Again, he'd done so much right, in complete control of the point. It's a real let-off for his opponent to miss that from such a dominant position.
Paints the line, a hole to love. Musetti leads 4-3 in the second set.
Musetti leads 4 games to 3.
Leant back into that one. He was slightly leaning back on his haunches, but it was a beautiful whipped forehand that kissed the line. He's not the bulkiest of players, Lorenzo Musetti. He's not skinny by any means, but he's not big and bulky. He's no Janko Tipsarevic, looking at him now. But he generates easy power with a whipped forehand, which is what you like to see from players. Don't necessarily have to be full of muscles.
Time.
Musetti having served to open this set. As long as he holds, he's always got his nose in front, so Shapovalov's always serving to try to get level on the scoreboard, and you wonder whether that's going to play on his mind as well.
Out. 15-11.
Well, no signs of pressure on the first two services there.
13-11.
Well, both players have got very healthy numbers in behind their first serve in terms of points won when landing the first serve in the second set. Shapovalov doing the damage with the forehand on that occasion.
Out. 14-11.
I'd say this is the service game he needs to have. There we go, we see those percentages. If you get a first service in either of them, they're winning 3/4 of the points thereafter. Quick game's a good game, and it certainly is a good game for Denis Shapovalov.
4 games on.
One thing I do wonder as the business end of the second set approaches is from a returner serve perspective. Denis Shapovalov, we've seen him use the slice return off both sides so often today on first serve, and he's just not getting the return on investment there. Love to see a more aggressive option taken on the first serve return. Come over some of those backhands. Because in starting the point with the slice the way he is, he's really allowing Musetti to take control of the point with his forehand.
Allowing him to get off the hook when he's not putting in a good second service.
Out. 30-love.
He's been aggressive at times on the second serve return, Shapovalov, but really on the first serve return has relied wholly and solely pretty much on slicing the ball back into play. You can see just the damage that Musetti's able to do on the forehand ground stroke with that forehand heaviness graphic. Combination of speed and spin is where the forehand heaviness number comes from. Lorenzo Musetti, elite in that regard. To see some more of this on first serve return, if possible, from Shapovalov, stepping well inside the baseline. Commits to purpose and intent on that backhand side. Sets the tone for the point.
Musetti hadn't got a first service in on the first 3 points of the game. Went for a virtual second service on first service there. It was 160 kilometers per hour. And that allowed Shapovalov to dominate the point. And to his credit, he did. 30 all.
Well, there's errors, and then there's errors in a tennis match. And at 30 all, having gotten into the point there, Denis Shapovalov finds some time on the ball, finds that forehand that we know he loves out of the backhand corner, and makes a very loose, unforced error.
Well, unexpected there. First double fall to the set, third of the match for Musetti.
How can Shapovalov find a way to blunt the first serve here of Musetti such that he's not behind in the point for the duration?
Standing right on the baseline, gone back a little bit now.
Advantage, Musetti.
Standing a little further back now as Musetti serves from the ad court. Off the hook there, Musetti. He holds and leads 5-4, having taken the first set in a tiebreaker.
Musetti leads 5 games to 4. Time.
Shapovalov now serving to stay in the second set. more determined though. Looking over to his corner, Janko Tipsarevic and the rest of his entourage. He served a very confident game around 5 minutes ago, held to love. Didn't miss by much.
Again, that's when Shapovalov's looked his best today, being proactive, coming forward, asking the question of his Italian opponent to come up with the passing shot.
Next, first service.
That had a little bit of everything that point. Superbly played drop shot from Musetti. Elite foot speed from Shapovalov. How about the shot making of Musetti from an impossible position? And again.
Great service and +1. Good service game from Shapovalov.
5 games up.
That's what you've got to be looking at when you're approaching a tiebreaker. How well are you serving? Because obviously every point counts in the tiebreaker. Get 2 services at a time. If you can get 2 free points, that's worth the weight in gold. A bit of movement again behind the server's arm. You can see that at the top of your screen.
Well, it's clever serving on that occasion from Lorenzo Musetti, because in the second set we've seen him to the juice side of the court direct nearly all of the traffic at the Shapovalov backhand out wide on that juice court. In a pivotal moment, starts that game by coming down the tee at the Shapovalov forehand. Great variety. Just when Shapovalov was probably leaning to take that backhand return away. Like that from Denis, returning up in the court, inside the baseline, coming over the backhand return. In fact, I'd love to see it on first serve return. Slightly more aggressive approach. To me, that's when he's at his most damaging, most dangerous.
30-15.
Wasn't imploring his box there, Shapovalov. It was as if he was looking at the chair umpire again. He does serve very deep, Musetti. That's the Shapovalov you want to see. The right intent and the right execution.
That's clever. And this is what you call a ghost or a sneak into the net when his opponent didn't necessarily see him coming. Chooses to go with the slice backhand, Musetti. Shapovalov spots it, explodes forward. Just plays the volley deliberately short in the court, almost making it impossible for Musetti to get to the next one.
Serving isn't always the greatest weapon, but he's +1s, Musetti. Accuracy, the depth.
That's why I think it's a tactical error for Shapovalov to solely continue to rely on the slice return back into play, because the Musetti +1 forehand's so good. Take a risk, be more aggressive, be prepared to make some return errors, but try to get the point on your terms.
In steps Shapovalov, right on the baseline for the second service. And Musetti saw him coming. Says you don't get to be number 16 in the world without knowing a few tricks. He leads 6-5.
Time.
Shapovalov to serve, to stay in the set and to take us into a tiebreaker. He's at the Tipsarevic end. He's got his coach alongside him. He's got a couple of maple leaf flags behind him. The sun on his back, and he's got a good serve and volley.
And he's able to demonstrate elite skill with the sliding serve down the tee. Fantastic return from Musetti. Made it awkward for Shapovalov, but you wouldn't have known it. Sprinting forward at high speed and then killing that ball adeptly with the drop volley.
That's what Musetti does to you. He makes you win the point twice. And then, every so often, he steals one from you.
How hard is it to win a point against this guy?
And he's just sown a few seeds of doubt there. Going into a tiebreaker, if indeed we get there.
Oh, here's a big moment. Second serve under duress again.
Gutsy.
13.
Well, this time it's Musetti's turn to be frustrated because he did not do enough with the slice backhand there. Floated it, left it sitting mid-court. Shapovalov's too good a player not to dispatch that off the forehand side.
Out. 14-15. Let. Second service.
A hold to 15, a dominant hold to 15. It's exactly the kind of service game you want to take you into a tiebreaker, and that is where we are going.
Tiebreaker.
Musetti to serve the first point. 2 each thereafter. Every service is going to be crucial here. Dominant play by Shapovalov, and he gets the mini break.
1-0. Shapovalov.
Shapovalov served to open the first tiebreaker and had his first service point taken away from him. Found himself 3-love down in the blink of an eye, and that's where it all got a bit messy.
Now, what about that return from Lorenzo Musetti? 195km/h first serve, directed down the tee, close to the centre service line. Again, makes his opponent play one more ball.
Two very good services, though, from Shapovalov. End result, though, is that we're back on service.
How does Shapovalov, from a mental perspective, handle these high-pressure moments in the second set tiebreak?
He needs to tell himself that he's been serving a lot better in the second set. He's the one with a real weapon of a service, and that's exactly what you need in a tiebreaker. Is he going to come in on this one? Yes, there he is, standing right on the baseline. He's going to come in even further.
Out. 2-all.
Well, he missed it, but I liked the sign of intent, of purpose from Shapovalov. Sending a message to his opponent that he is going to be aggressive on second serve return.
Don't get the impression that Musetti should be 3-2 up in this tiebreaker. Shapovalov has 1 point. I think that Musetti's got away with a few points, but that's what he does. He's got consistency, whereas Shapovalov is up and down. Can he get more ups than downs and take this tiebreaker? Huge point in this one. So they're going to change ends after it. Will it be 3-all or 4-2? How about that? Serve and volley on the second service.
3-all.
Tried it 11 times and it's come off 9.
Well, it's nearly impossible for Musetti to win that point. based on where he chose to return from. And Shapovalov with the awareness to take advantage of that return position by going with the serve and volley. The right tactical play at a pivotal moment. Clarity of thought from the Canadian, something that was sorely lacking in the first set tiebreak.
Well, they've changed ends at 3-all. They changed ends at 5-1 last time. Musetti having won the first 5 points. Shapovalov having imploded. He's not imploding here, though.
4-3. Shapovalov.
Janko Tipsarevic likes what he's seeing. He likes the aggression, the court position that his charge is taking up in the second set tiebreak. And he likes the fact that he's starting to control more and more of the proceedings from the back of the court.
Again, an aggressive stance on the baseline for this second service. Well, he held up 2 fingers there after that, Shapovalov, and he was either saying, well, that's twice I've done it on second service and just hit a forehand into the net, or second service, I've got to work it out. 6-all, 4-all. First to 7, but you've got to be 2 points clear. Another look at a second service. Standing a bit further back this time. He did everything right there, Shapovalov, and then just got his feet in the wrong position, didn't move around quickly enough.
Does he go back with his favourite lefty slider out wide? And does he serve and volley behind it?
It's what worked brilliantly at 2-3. And it works every bit as brilliantly at 4-5. That's why you're the analyst, Simon. You saw that one coming. Five all, huge point here. Someone's going to have a set point at the end of this.
That net strap has come loose. That will need to be repaired, and that will be a first serve for Denis Shapovalov.
Yes, because it's the equivalent of let replay the point, and if you replay a point, even if that point was on a second service, you go back to a first service. So just thinking, we haven't seen a double fault from Shapovalov for quite some time. 4 in this set, 11 in the match overall, but those 4 came quite early on in the first couple of service games. He's been serving a lot better since then. And now he goes back to a first service. Oh, and then he does that. Everything was set up for him, even when he's fails on first service. He's given a second bite of the cherry, and then at 5-all suddenly gets the yips, cramps. He hit that ball, missed by 6 feet. Musetti now out of nowhere, serving with a point for the set and a 2-love lead. He wound that one up. 2:04 would have been his fastest service. Well, talking about double faults, didn't expect that one to come. Second of the set, fourth of the match. And he'd been doing so well on second service, almost despite himself. It seemed that Shapovalov couldn't get a read on the second services.
Well, both men afflicted by the pressure of being in the business end of this second set tiebreak.
Maple Leaf being held up for Musetti to see to try and put him off. 6-all, 6-all. Inside out forehand, beautiful from Musetti into the corner. That's going to give him so much confidence.
Well, both men a little bit tentative early in this point, but it was Musetti that broke the point open with the electric backhand cross court. And he's been so damaging with the inside out forehand today.
Geometry of it, it landed inside the front half of the court. Nothing that Shapovalov could do. So another set point for Musetti. It will be a second service this time. It's a double fault. It's a 2-sets-to-love lead for Lorenzo Musetti.
7 games to 6.
The ball's still relatively new, just 3 games old. Right intent, right move, not quite the right execution.
Well, dangerous moments, really dangerous moments. From the perspective of Denis Shapovalov. 2 sets to love down, and now love 30 down in his opening service game of this third set.
Well, I wonder how many times the word Shapovalov and unravel have been used on commentary or in articles, because it's what you fear. He's love 40 down. Would have been a lovely way to finish off a game, wouldn't it? Just describing an arc and landing on the line, and it missed by a little bit.
Well, he actually got a little bit passive in that exchange, Lorenzo Musetti, almost relying on the fact that he felt the error was bound to come off the racket of Shapovalov. Needs to continue to play with purpose, Musetti, in these moments.
The error does indeed come, and it comes very quickly. So a break very early on. Musetti 2 sets up, a break up. It's the first time he's been a break up. There have been breaks of service, none in the second set, but 2 in the first. Musetti had his service broken first time out, and Shapovalov raced into a 3-love lead. Clever service, arcing out wide to the backhand of the left-hander. Just about to say that's as good a rally as we've seen all match, because we haven't had a whole lot to get our teeth into. We've had a lot of very short points.
Well, he's asking all of the right questions of an opponent that is 2 sets behind on the scoreboard and now down an early break in this third set. Lorenzo Musetti turning it into a physical and mental battle out here on show court 3. So far he's prevailing on both fronts.
Way long from Shapovalov. That was far too easy a hold there, you would say, for Musetti.
Well, there was a 2024 campaign that was so successful for Lorenzo Musetti. Saw him reach his career high ranking of number 15 that he currently sits at. Also saw him become an Olympic medalist for the first time in the men's singles. Secured a bronze medal for his country.
Beat a Canadian. Beat Felix Auger-Aliassime. Lost in the semis to Novak Djokovic, who was in his quest for the final leg of the Golden Slam that he got. But Musetti, yes, became just the second Italian to win a medal in tennis at the Olympics, and the first one was 100 years before him, back when they originally played tennis, and then it came back in the late 80s. You get the impression now that this match is going to end sooner rather than later. We've had 2 one-hour sets that went the distance, tiebreakers. You get the impression now this one could be over in the blink of an eye. Sliding doors moments. It was 6-all in the tiebreaker after Musetti double faulted.
Missed it.
Just out. It was a shame because it was a great point. That was a great pickup. Dug that one out. Got around to that one. I wasn't expecting it to come over, I think, is the problem. 2 more break points for Musetti. this for a double break. Double fault, double break. Musetti leads by 2 sets and 3 love.
First scratch in the wall. That's the best.
Musetti leads 3 games.
I'll be lucky if it's going to be $5,000. It's probably going to be like 700 because like the minors thing, it's like all your money. Look.
It's the Jekyll and Hyde element again. We had Dr. Denis through most of the second set where he was calm and playing very well. Mr. Shap has returned, seeming to find fault with everyone and everything.
I was just going to say, Drew, I don't have any sympathy for him.
He picked something out of nowhere to focus on, almost randomly. One here. Musetti, on the other hand, game face. Two breaks to the good.
Well, that's the frustration that Lorenzo Musetti and his superb defensive abilities have been able to create in the mind of Denis Shapovalov, making him play yet again one more ball. And Shapovalov with the very ambitious drop shot off the backhand side, poorly executed.
13.
He's out of answers right now, Denis Shapovalov.
Last phrase you said, in the mind of Denis Shapovalov. What a place that would be. That would be a documentary to put on a streaming service.
14 love. Game, Musetti. Musetti leads 4 games to love.
Sooner rather than later. 2 breaks, 2 holds. I think Shapovalov wants to get this over sooner rather than later. He was calling for the balls to be brought down his end to serve as soon as possible.
Let for service. Love.
He can still play dominant tennis.
He's got weapons everywhere, which I think is part of the frustration when we see him head off track at times. the upside that exists in this young man's game.
40-11.
We've seen him be ranked as high as number 10 in the world. That doesn't happen by accident. Look at what he can generate on forehand side there. An even heavier forehand than Lorenzo Musetti.
40-15.
Yes, he said about getting Janko Tipsarevic in his corner that he wants to get back to where he was, top 10 in the world, and even better. He's not here to make up the numbers. You can absolutely make up the numbers when you've got the weapons that he's got. He can make a perfectly good living at the Grand Slams, qualifying direct acceptance to most tournaments.
Game, Shapovalov.
Well, he gets himself on the board, Shapovalov, but Musetti leads by 2 sets and 4-1 in the third.
Time.
Come on, Chapo, come on, Denis. You can hear from the crowd. And there's that fan with the maple leaf. She's been there valiantly supporting Shapovalov. She got him to 2 tiebreakers, but it's behind the 8 ball now. Musetti leading 4-1. How about that?
Love 15.
Well, it's another insight into the shot-making capabilities of this 25-year-old Canadian from well beyond the baseline. Can hit a forehand winner at will. Boy, he can generate.
Final.
But he can't read the Musetti second service. Because that was a second service type service, even though it was the first service.
It's
a real bag of tricks that he's got. The variety is the spice of life as far as Musetti is concerned. It's a war of attrition. You know that you can wear Shapovalov down.
Physically and mentally. So we've seen glimpses of the shot making of the weapons that this man possesses off both wings of the ground at times, certainly on first serve at times, yet we've also seen the frailties and the fragility that exists at times, and that so far over the last 3 or 4 years has been a blocker for him returning to his previous heights. Spots in the top 10 so hard to come by.
Yes.
Made it to the quarterfinals here 3 years ago, did Shapovalov. 4 years ago at the US Open as well, and the semis at Wimbledon, so on the faster courts. Other than that, he's struggled to make it into the second week of Grand Slams. I do think that the mental side of things, when you're playing 5-set tennis, is maybe what's letting him down. Having said that, we saw a big fist bump there. Musetti may be getting a little tight as he looks to finish off this match. Point here for Shapovalov to get one of the breaks back.
Yes.
Well, that has been a consistent tactical theme and a consistent tactical struggle for Shapovalov throughout this match. What to do on the first serve, backhand return in particular against Musetti. We've seen him attempt to come over the ball on a handful of occasions, execute less than successfully. We've seen him default back to the chip backhand return. That's allowed Musetti to take control with his forehand. So he's between a rock and a hard place.
That is what Shapovalov is capable of.
Advantage Shapovalov.
16 shots. He's saving the best till last, but maybe it isn't the last.
That's what he can do when he takes control of a baseline exchange. Denis Shapovalov able to come forward so effectively today throughout the match, and doing so behind the short angle, the whipped forehand cross court, closing out the net brilliantly.
Yes.
125 kilometers per hour, that second service.
And slightly mishit.
You say mishit, I say it's yet another of the tricks that Musetti's got in his bag. He thought, I'm going to go for a Drew Lilly service.
Advantage Musetti.
And then follows it up with 203 kilometers per hour down the tee. I mean, look at that. That is the point of the tee. That is perfection in terms of placement. Takes a deep breath, sets himself. Delighted with himself there. Faced 2 break points. Staring
Musetti
him
leads
down.
5 games to 1.
Proved why he is now well inside the top 20 in the world. So Shapovalov serving to stay in the tournament.
Single game, there's people coming in. Every single game.
They let people enter, but they shouldn't
Why
behind.
is the black?
It's only this one, yeah, I know. Look, they didn't on the other one.
Yeah, but why? Come on. There.
The answer to the question, but why, is because that's the way the tournament works. The Australian Open has decided to let fans in rather than having them queue and waiting for the changes of ends. played that point with a lot of anger, didn't he? And channeled it. Channeled that aggression.
Well, he channeled it like we were calling for him to channel it in the first set tiebreak. He's been so successful today when he's asked Musetti to come up with a pass from 4 and 5 meters beyond the baseline. It's a tactic that has served him consistently well.
Also what Musetti does best. We'll get a great camera angle of it here.
Well, there's a little dance and a jig toward the coach's box here after this backhand return from Lorenzo Musetti. Just a block, absorbing the pace of the Shapovalov second serve. He loved it, did the Italian.
$30-15.
Covering a heck of a lot of court, the pair of them. The points have been very short. We've had, doing a quick bit of mental arithmetic, 213 points so far, and 143 of them, so 2/3 of them have been 4 shots or less, but they've still covered, during these short exchanges, they're covering every inch of the court. Then we have a longer rally, but that is to usher in the first match point of this contest. Just out.
Yes.
Bit of a wry smile. Well, he got there. He just didn't have a whole lot in the way of options in terms of geometry and real estate, really. Again, just misses.
Advantage, Shapovalov.
Well, you have the sense that Lorenzo Musetti's throwing everything at this game. He's quite keen to finish it right now, but he may be denied.
He is indeed denied. Bravery from Shapovalov, who sees off 2 match points, but Musetti will serve at 5-2 in 1 minute's time.
5 against 2. Time.
The Yarra River sparkling, looking at its best. 3:30 in the afternoon, glistening in the sun. You can see the precinct full of fans. Court number 3 full of fans. Musetti full of hope that he is going to make it into round 3.
We've seen the pace of the Musetti single-hander start to trouble Denis Shapovalov in this third set, generating plenty of heat with the cross-court backhand in particular, forcing Shapovalov off balance and into error.
30 love. Team.
So near, so close. Shapovalov has been close throughout this match. Look at the scoreline. 2 tiebreakers. One of those goes the other way, then we're looking at a completely different match. But as it is, after 2 hours and 41 minutes, 2 match points for Lorenzo Musetti on his own service. A couple of match points in the last game on Shapovalov's service. Big deep breath from Musetti, saying, come on, let's get this over the line. And he does indeed get it over the line with a roar. Number 16 seed Lorenzo Musetti is through into the 3rd round, defeating Denis Shapovalov 7-6, 7-6, 6-2 in 2 hours and 42 minutes. A hug at the net, which is nice to see. He takes the plaudits of the crowd and roars. Maybe in straight sets, but he knows he's been in a battle.